Hi everyone, welcome to Amaranth. These are general messages for the collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus and Jupiter placements. Let's get into it. So the first card you have, Cancerians, for today is the Queen of Wands. And this is in the reverse for you. Queen of Wands is fire energy. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius are the fire archetypes. But, you might have some strong placements, fire placements in your chart. Nevertheless, one's fire energy is associated with the energy of the sun, the vitality, the energy, the drive. And that's what the one's energy is about. Now, with the Queen of Wands in the reverse, this deck has a little bit different connotation than the other Rider-Waite deck. If you see here, there is Raven wings and there is Raven in the picture. Now, Raven is a very smart bird. It's not only it is a messenger, but the other characteristics of Raven are guardianship. Raven guards something. There is a guardianship energy, and also there is fierceness. There is Raven is a very fierce bird, and even mythologically, like Raven has been used spiritually, mythology. It's a very mythological bird. Yeah, and as far as I recall, now I could be wrong. I think Raven is associated with the goddess Morrigan. I could be wrong though, but I feel Raven is associated with the goddess Morrigan. And goddess Morrigan was there at the time of transformation, at the time of rebirth, So Goddess Morgan is definitely an energy of a rebirth. So there is some kind of a deeper work, transition, transformation, which is happening for you, Cancerians. And the transformation that Goddess Morrigan represents is an energy of someone that is returning to who they truly are, becoming more of yourself versus becoming more what people want you to be. And the energy of Goddess Morgan is not someone who initiates it. She just protects that energy, protects the person who's undergoing that transformation so that the transformation is complete. And because Raven was the bird that was accompanying Goddess Morgan, Raven is like the note keeper, Raven used to watch, give the information of what's going on and all of that. And I feel that kind of energy for you because the Queen of Wands in the reverse, the fire is turned inwards. And this definitely happens when you're depleted. Somebody who's tired of pouring, of giving, of performing, of taking care of 100 things, that they have no energy left now to give anybody. And because it's a queen energy, you could be a feminine or you could be a masculine. It doesn't matter. But somebody who's constantly giving, pouring, doing things for other people, whether it's in their work or whether it's in their personal lives. So there is definitely a change, a major deeper change which you are going through right now, Cancerians, and that's in your inner world. It's that you are realizing the amount of energy you put into caring and nurturing. Cancerian, you're the nurturing sign, the fourth house of family, friends, community, and all of that. So looking after, nourishing is like the archetypal energy for Cancerians, and I feel that you're burnt out. And even in today's world, we see a lot of surveys are showing that people are getting burnt out because they're not getting adequate rest. They're not making time for themselves. They're doing for other people, and they forget what they want for themselves. But here, I feel you have recognized that, there is something that you want to do for yourself. Maybe you want to create something, a project, or you want to work somewhere, you want to study something. Or you just want to do your own personal development and things like that. Anything that you want to do for yourself personally is something that you're unable to do or make time for, or you don't have the energy for it. And this Raven and the Queen of Wands in the reverse is telling you, Cancerians, please, it's time for you to focus on yourself. And specifically, it's the right time because Sun is entering the Cancer, 4th house, right? Sun is entering Cancer. It's your time of solar return. So all energy should be focused towards you. which I feel is not. So it's time to reclaim that fire, Cancerians, for your own self. You know, it's time to give yourself the rest. It's time for you to focus on your own growth, wellness, development. Do whatever you want for yourself, you know, for your health, for your wellness, for your own self, because you might be doing too much for people out there in the external world or outside of your house, and you're not able to do things for yourself or for your family, whatever that case is for you. And sometimes what happens is Cancer, and you know, it's a very important planetary aspect which is happening for you, Cancerians. In the next few days, the Sun and the Saturn are going to be in opposition with each other. And see, Sun and Saturn are not really fond of each other, so there is going to be a push and pull, you know, and the push and pull is going to be in regards to where you put your time and energy into. Like, you will want to do a lot of things, you know, you will be kind of out of your comfort zone, because squares will definitely put you outside your comfort zone. And you'll feel like, oh my God, you know, and the energy of and see, it's a very important time, and I'll tell you why. This is a very beautiful transit which is happening. The Saturn and Sun scoring each other. Right after that, you have Venus. The Venus energy and Venusian energy is, sorry about that, so the Venusian energy is going to reward you for something that you do for your own self, your Cancerians, you know. And see, the beautiful transit that happens, I'm just, you know, stunned about the energies that Mercury right now in the sign of Cancer is going to give you those beautiful ideas, you know. It will help you put a finger on what exactly you want and what are the changes that you need to make in order to make time for yourself and do things that you want for yourself. And now with the Jupiter also moving out of Cancer, you know, there's a transit of Jupiter which is going into the sign of Leo. And you is again an outward performative sign. So you have a narrow window of a week and 10 days where you understand what you want for yourself and you start taking care of that aspect, whether it's your family, whether it's your own self, whether it's your own core development, because whatever you start working on for your own growth and development to get your fire back is something that's going to grow and expand when Jupiter moves into the sign of Leo. So you have 2 weeks of a window to understand what is going to bring you the most happiness. What do you want to do for yourself? First of all, take care of your health, you know, release the burnout, charge your batteries, take a break, and then name one thing that you want to do for yourself and start putting the energy slowly but gradually into that aspect or whatever you name that. Put it on paper, ground that energy, and then you start working towards it, because once you do that, the energy of Jupiter will grow that for you, will expand that. And so definitely this is an energy of a very powerful comeback for you, Cancerians. It's going to be a very powerful comeback. It's going to be it's a rebirth energy. You know, even if you feel like you're exhausted, you're tired, and, you know, you're not able to do anything, you're depleted, this is your time, you know, this is your time to reclaim it back all. And that's why the Raven is here. It's watching you. It's telling you that, you know, this is what's missing from your life. You need to pay attention to these areas of your own life. Take care of your own self. And then the goddess Morgan is out here protecting that energy for you so that you don't give over your time and energy. Stop saying yes to every commitment out there. Stop giving too much of yourself to people. Delegate the task. Ask for help. You know, if you're in a business or managing everything yourself, get the resources, get the help. Hire some people. You know, it's the most important time for you in the solar return where you focus on yourself. Like I said, right after the Sun and Saturn square, which will put an extra pressure on you, and that's the time where you need to be very discerning. Like, what is it that you want to do? Say no to all responsibilities. Focus on yourself, because if you do, right after that, the Venus energy is going to trine Saturn, which is going to bless you with so much of abundance if you choose to, you know, work on things for your own good, for your own self. So whatever you want to work on, you know, for your own self, not for other people, for right yourself, this is the time. But you want to get creative, you want to take a course, you want to learn something, you want to create something, you want to work on something. This energy is all about you, here, Cancerians. Riven energy can also be somebody on the outside for you who's watching your depletion. You know, it could come through a form of a parent, a guardian, or somebody in your friend circle is watching you feeling depleted or running on empty and still doing it for other people, you know. So there is somebody who's watching you. Or maybe this could be a counselor or a therapist that you actually need to go to and tell them that you've been depleted. You need to work out a plan with them, either a massagist or whatever that is, you know, to work a plan so that you bring back your energy to you. Now, and even in the world, you know, at a global level also we see this energy play out because women are just consumed with tending to their family, to the outer world. You know, they hardly have time to express themselves, to create something for themselves, to create the lives that they always wanted. You know, to step up in offices, to, you know, be visible or do something creative in the media. There are so many options these days, you know, and it's like a suppressed energy, which is now waiting for you to acknowledge that you've been suppressing your desires and then work towards expressing yourself. So this is a huge transformation, you know, and it's not going to be easy, you know, but you know that you have the power to make it work for you. You just need the time, the energy, the right plan, and then you can make it happen for yourself. And the Cancerian archetypal energy, you know, subconsciously that energy plays out as saying yes to everything, right? But now with this transformation, especially if, you know, you're consciously working through it, Cancerians, take a few steps back. You don't have to say yes to every commitment out there. You don't have to be automatically available to each and every person or a thing or situation or event out there. You know, I mean, let people recognize, you know, don't, sometimes when you keep giving, people also start, you know, depleting you, taking advantage and taking you for granted. But when you give time to yourself and you're less readily available for people, that's when they recognize your value. So I feel this is also something that you need to keep in mind, that don't allow people to take you or assume that you will be there or take you for granted. So selectively choose where you want to put your energy. I mean, unfortunately, this is how the world works. People take things for granted, situations and people for granted that they don't have to work hard towards, you know, that are always readily available, you know. But when the resource becomes limited, that's when they start valuing it. And when you make yourself limited and less available, that's when they want to value your contribution and your presence. And also another thing with this energy is it's not about doing something that will bring you some money. I mean, though it could be for some of you that you've been wanting to start a business, but you have not been able to, and that business is something which is your passion project, and it will bring in the money. But outside of that, this energy should not be mistaken for going out there and working or putting more time or extra work in your extra effort in your workplace. You know, this energy is more like directed towards your own self, to your own energy reserves, you know, something which replenishes you, whether taking a vacation or just watching, you know, some shows or just reading a book or lying down in the bed, sleeping for longer hours, eating and drinking right, going to the gym, you know, to work out and to feel that energy coming back, you know, strength training and all of that. For some of you, it could be that as well. I mean, for the most part, this energy says focus on those things that bring your energy resources back up. So the next card you have, Cancerians, is the energy of 7th house, which is Libra. And in the Libra archetype energy over here on the card, there is, you know, a balance out here, right? The scales are there and two objects are saying on it. Now, spiritually and mythologically, you know, in the olden times, the goddess Map, you know, she used to wear the scales of the heart against a feather. Now, symbolically, that means a heart which is heavy and versus a heart which is light. You know, so a heart that carries too much, that has tolerated too much, that has too much resentments, unfulfilled desires, is a heavier heart than a heart that has lived a life you know, fully. So that's the kind of weighing I feel that you have to do right now. There are wings in this picture, there are stars. Below it says consideration, fairness, and harmony. Yeah, that's the Libra archetype. You know, focus on relationships, focus on external harmony. Here I feel for you. And Libra is also a cardinal sign, just like you, Cancerians. except that the energy of the Libra is more towards outside, social, groups, and relationships and all of that. And Cancerian's energy is mostly directed towards the fourth house, of house, family, kids, and all of that. I feel that this energy shows up for you in order to create that balance, to recalibrate your life, which again we spoke about. The Queen of Wands in the reverse is a clear indication that things are out of balance in your life, and some way or the other, it is out of balance. So whether you're doing too much for others and not taking care of yourself, you need to know that you equally matter. Your needs equally matter. And you need to say it out loud. Mercury in Cancer is going to give you that enablement to express yourself, to tell exactly what is unbalanced, what needs to happen, where the recalibration needs to happen. So before that, you need to be very honest with yourself, like what exactly is depleting you? Where is the imbalance? And the trines right now, and also the Raven card, all of those energies are actually going to put pressure on you to recalibrate your life because, like I said, the planetary alignments right now is the Sun squaring Saturn, and then the Venus trining with Saturn is going to reward those efforts of recalibrating your life. So you need to create that equilibrium, that fairness, that justice. And there is a rose out here right below the scales, which means and Libra themes ruled by Venus is also themes around beauty, aesthetics, maybe your house, the harmony, your garden, maybe redecorating your house, maybe having some meditative and spiritual practices that recharge, that give you that calmness, that balance which is needed in our day-to-day lives. So I feel that, the themes are, of course, right now about being considerate of your own needs, to be very deliberate with the recalibration, And once you're able to recalibrate your life, your Cancerians, that's when you will stop feeling guilty about not giving to others, not feeling depleted. And every work that you do, every action that you do intentionally, will actually lead to a lot of harmony in your internal life and external life. So it doesn't have to, and also because when Venusian energy is present out here, you don't have to be very rude about it. You have to be very considerate about how you convey your message, how you create that balance. You don't have to scream and shout. Just knowing that you deserve your time, your energy. You are not more and less than others. You're equal. Your needs are equal. It's not a negative approach, It's not a negative self-talk. It's a positive self-talk. It's a reinforcement that you're not being selfish. You're just being considerate towards your own self. Once you change this mindset, that's what is going to enable you to create this actual harmony. So I feel that the scales have been way too off, tipped in one direction for way too long, that you have lost the balance, whether it's financial, whether it's in your relationships. You need to be very honest with that. There might be disharmony in your relationships, and you need to point it out to see where that imbalance is. Is it you're doing too much and you're not receiving? Or are you just performing in your relationships? Where is the imbalance? You need to be very honest. You need to be accountable. So I feel that you have been, doing too much, and you're just, you kind of think to yourself, nah, all is okay. You're trying to keep up that appearance of everything is fine and everything is okay. Whereas I feel that your heart is weighing heavy with a lot of resentment, with a lot of unfulfilled desires. You need to write all of them down. The avoidance and overlooking your own needs is not going to give you any positive rewards here on. Now, those relations could be anything, your family, your friends. If you have been giving too much to your friends and your friends are inconsistent towards you, that's an imbalance which needs to be resolved. You need to identify which friends and which social commitments are actually draining you versus what is replenishing you, what makes you happy. Those are the things that you need to take stock of. Now, if this is in regards to your partner, and you're doing too much, always available, whereas the other person is not equally available and reciprocal, then that's there is your imbalance. So you don't have to cover it up like just by smiling and saying that, oh, everything is okay. And also, these resentments are going to not do any good, not bring you any favorable rewards in the future. You need to go, you need to speak up, you need to say that I need to feel more like this, you need to give more, or I do too much, I don't receive, and all of that. Versus keeping it silent and just keeping the peace for the sake of it. Huh? Now, if this imbalance is at work or in your business where you've been giving too much and people are not acknowledging your efforts, so you're not getting the peer raise, or you're not getting a promotion, or you're not getting more responsibility if something's off, or you have been doing too much and other people have not been pulling their weight. These are the things that you need to discuss about what's fair, what will you do, and things like that. It needs to be brought to the attention of the authorities that how much are you willing to give? Maybe you're overworking and other people are not, and maybe you're not getting the rewards and the punishment in return versus the other people. So how much is your responsibility? How much is theirs at home or in your professional life? All these things need to be discussed openly in a harmonious way, of course. Now, this energy is also playing out at a global level where people, countries, cities, companies are trying to come to a settlement, negotiation, fairness. If there is any conflict outside, in your place of work or in your neighborhood, all of those factors also need to be taken into consideration in order to create that harmony and balance inside and outside of you. But you are the Queen of Wands in the reverse, which means that a lot of imbalance has been on the internal side, maybe in your own home or inside your own self, personal self. So self-care is also going to be very important. Having the right routine, the right habits, the sleep patterns, spiritual practices that bring that peace, or a corner in your house. Maybe some of you are actually redecorating your homes or arranging things around that make the environment more peaceful. Sometimes we kind of call the walls that really overstimulate our brain, whereas what we need is calm colors that when we enter the room, just bring us that sigh of relief. So some of you could be redecorating your homes along those lines as well. Now, some of you might be experiencing some kind of, settlements, whether it's in real estate or, business ownership and all of those. So I feel that if you feel that there has been some imbalance in that, then that also needs to be brought to the table, because these are resentments that are just going to grow and create indifferences in your relationships. So, there's no point in creating, that poison in the future. So you need to write it down. You need to talk it out, and you need to establish those agreements, whether in the finances, whether in business, some kind of settlements, disputes. It could be financial imbalance also. You need to have your own, financial security. And if you feel that there is an imbalance in that, or somebody's draining your resources, then that also needs to be spoken about. Similarly, you're in your external world when you are planning attending the events and commitments or plans with your friends, family, whatever that is. You need to ask, what is it? What is in it for me? That question should be there in your mind to ask, yeah, I'm going there, I'm investing the time and energy, but what's in it for me? Am I really having fun, or is my energy getting depleted? So take care of yourself, and dress properly. I feel that you're also redesigning your wardrobe in some way, There could be that, maybe you're dressing up a certain type of way which makes you feel uncomfortable, and now you're choosing clothes that make you feel more comfortable. Or it could be you're doing things under pressure or just for performance, and I feel that also needs to be assessed. So people pleasing all the time is not going to work for you at this point in time. That doesn't bring harmony. Your self-esteem, your self-respect also needs to be considered. If you've put that behind you, then it's time for it to, for you to evaluate, I cannot be people pleasing all the time. I cannot just expect or just get, do things that give me the approval of others or ask for approval. Do things that you feel are right for you. That kind of soft boundaries also need to be there. They need to, not in a negative, not in a harsh kind of way, but just soft boundaries that, over your time, over your energy will benefit you in the long run. Now, when it comes to the scales, in some of the Rider-Waite decks or some of the decks, there is a lady which is, shown as wearing a blindfold on her eyes holding the scales. Now, blindfold does not mean that she doesn't know the facts or, she's ignorant about things. It just means that she does not look at, she does not look at the appearance of the situation or the appearance of the people, or she does not cave into the societal pressure, or, she does not cave into her own emotions. She just, she's very honest. She's very honest. Her inner eyes are seeing, are weighing the two scales. Her inner eyes, very honest. There is quality of that weighing. So that is very much needed. You should not be coming from a detached perspective, Cancerians, but it's just that, the quality of your assessment is also going to matter at this point in time. And the last card for you Cancerians you have is the inner voice. And further it says, I dealt with my inner fears and discovered my inner voice. My intuition guided me on the path of light. And that's exactly what we spoke about. There is an imbalance, and it could be because of fears you're not speaking up. But once you figure that in a strengthen inner voice to come forward, to speak up, to correct any imbalances, through, your own internal GPS, which is your own intuition. Once we listen to that, once we follow that, that's when we, release ourselves from fears and any other imbalances, and we are on our soul's path that's meant to be. So, great messages here, Cancerians. Hope you resonated with the messages. Now moving on to the sign of Scorpio. So the first card for today's Scorpio you have is the Three of Wands. Now, Wands is a fire energy, so you might have some fire placements, but it doesn't have to be. This is a little bit different from the traditional connotation for the Three of Wands. Here you see this dot of ravens. There are 3 ravens out here, and they're all flying together. They're flying as a group. And the ribbon which is holding them, it's like the ribbon that holds the bouquet together. It's that kind of togetherness with these ravens. So I feel that for you, Scorpio. In the traditional Rider-Waite, there is a single person that is waiting out there, standing on a cliff and watch the ships come towards the horizon. Here, there is a group of ravens that are, flying together. So it's a group effort all throughout. It's not at any particular stage. It's like from the beginning to the end. And basically, Three of Wands is growth and expansion. It comes after the planning phase. So for some of you are going or doing something together as part of a group. Now, that could be that you have like a business partnership, or you have some kind of collaboration. This could be international collaborations as well. This is like you, from start to finish, you are expanding and growing with a group of people. There is expansion with the group of people. Now, these 3 wands, these could be 3 ideas that you have, or it could be in 3 different directions you're growing and expanding. It could be that, 3, the number 3 is quite important. It could be that it's like you're growing 3 times, or it is 3 different directions, or is 3 different ideas for you. It could be anything. So basically, ravens, in mythology also, ravens are, messengers. They're also collectors of data. So very knowledgeable. They're also guardians, there is a protection, and I feel this ribbon is a kind of guardian. So with these three ribbons going together, there's a lot of shared energy. So sharing the ideas, sharing the knowledge, sharing whatever you discover, that information is used by the collective to grow and expand together. So for some of you, I feel Scorpio, because, when it comes to expansion, there is a Jupiterian energy with it, and you're the 8th house. Or 8th house is an energy of transformation. That's the Scorpio's house, original house. There is, shared resources. There is depth. There is closeness. There is bonds. And Jupiter energy is all about, 9th house, which is growth, expansion, higher learning, travel, international travel could be for some of you. So you probably have an idea right now, which, you are sharing with the group of people. It could be some sponsors as well, or it could be just a team of yours. And I feel that you are either a part of an organization that is expanding its reach internationally, or could be across, the distance, could be, could be internationally also. Or this could be a business of yours that you're trying to grow and establish in different places, in different countries. And I feel that you're working as a group, as a team, as a collaboration. You could be collaborating with different companies across the borders for some of you. The only thing about, because I feel that the Scorpio energy, sometimes, you want to do it all alone. And, just there is some kind of a fear that, things would not go according to you or according to what you had thought. So some of you need to be cautious against those thoughts, because here the Three of Wands is exclusively promoting group work right from the get-go. And at this point in time, that is going to be your best bet. It's going to be a very powerful and strategic move to work as a group and collaboration versus single-handedly doing things by yourself. Now, for some of you, this could be that you are, going for further education with a group of people, a group of friends, or this could be you're traveling for some kind of a spiritual journey together as a group, or this could be you forming a group because all of you believe in a certain philosophy or a certain idea or a certain, it could be faith as well for some of you. Now, some of you could also be working. This energy could be playing out globally for you, as part of in the place of work or some kind of if you're in the higher up, maybe your company is collaborating with other companies, or it could be at a state level, or it could be at a government level, or it could be at a city level. Some companies that are, joining hands and working together for a shared reason. The next card you have, Scorpio, is the South Node. On the right of it, there is a life, which is for Scorpio. And then below it says, destined to release. Yeah, so if you look at the picture, it's a little blurry picture. There's mountains in the background. There is water. There is rock submerged. And then there is this creature, it cannot tell clearly what this is. This is like hands open, or, it's like a half fish submerged in the water, like a crab or something like that. It's a little bit bizarre kind of an image. But when it comes to the South Node, especially South Node has been in Virgo for the last almost 18 months. Not 18 months, it's been 17 months since last Jan 2025. So it's going to complete its 18-month transit, which is end of July. So I believe, and for you, Scorpio, South Node is in Virgo, which means it's your 11th house. And 11th house is the house of networking, collective community, the connections that we make, and the connections that are, that uplift us, that we connect with, either through work or in our personal lives. All of that comes under the 11th house. And with the South Node for you in that 11th house, North Node would be in your house, 5th house of creativity, creativity and children and just, feeling good, the happiness and the general good things. So I feel that for you Scorpios, this is now about releasing those, those dynamics, those friendships, those people, the communities, the groups, whether online or offline, maybe social media, accounts that you follow. It could be anything. It could be friendships, connections, whether it's professional or personal or online on social media, those accounts that are not worth it, that don't add value, that are meaningless, or, those connections and acquaintances that you have outgrown, or those groups, the social media groups or your social circles, around your house, neighborhood, in your place of work. All of those are now under, under, what do you call, assessment. They're under assessment right now, and because Scorpio, the Scorpio energy, is very loyal. So you kind of stick it out no matter what the situation, what the dynamic, you kind of stick it out with the people that you're connected to. And because it's a Virgo energy which overlaps with your 11th house, Virgo is about, service. So it's an obligation energy of Virgo. So for some of you, you were staying in circles and groups just out of familiarity or obligation or just out of duty or something like that. And I feel that this energy is encouraging you to release that, Scorpio, the people that really don't add value, the people that you cannot wholeheartedly connect with, the people that drain your resources and time and energy. And you've been sticking it out because, you're just used to it, or you just have an obligation, or they connected with you in some form. I feel you've outgrown some of those groups and people, or it could be community, people that you came together with. You're outgrowing that. And this energy is asking you to release it, because when we connect with people that drain us, it's just not only waste of our time, but also of our energy, of our soulful time, right? So I feel this energy is asking you to, the North Node goes into the 5th house, which means just enjoy, do things that really make you happy, make you excited, some creative thing or something like that. Or this could be to connect with people that, are creative or can help you in the creative areas in some way. Because you have the 3 of Wands, in that you had 3 ravens coming together, which means that there is collaboration. And so this could be that you are forming new friendships or new collaborations, could be at work, could be in your personal life. But this is like, a karmic completion in terms of your social circle, because these are karmas that we inherit from our ancestors, forefathers, and all of those that, my forefathers, ancestors, they might have been connected to circles just out of obligation, just because, there is a social structure or a taboo for leaving that social structure. But here you are breaking that pattern. You are no longer carrying that family or intergenerational karma. You're like, I don't care, I'm just going to connect with people that really make sense to me, that are more genuine, that are more aligned with my taste, my liking, or my interests And that's what this energy for you, Scorpio, is going to open up or open you up to newer people that resonate better with you. And quietly release, because South Node energy is not about loud, when, shout outs and, oh, I'm leaving and all of those. It's a quiet quitting. And you've seen quiet quitting a lot these days in corporate and, even on social media groups. People just leave. They don't have to be loud or announcing their exit from groups and group chats or, handles and accounts that don't make sense anymore, because they're just consuming your time. And this South Node energy is asking you to release that, which wastes your time, and connect to things, people that actually add value. Fifth house is value added, makes you happy. It's a creative, it's a high vibe, high energy house. So I feel that your friend's circle or your social circle is now going to shift up a little bit. Now, this could also be collaborators that were, part of your business or your office or your teams in some way. Maybe you're releasing those, maybe you had collaborated with other people as part of your business or workplace or even neighborhood, and now you're releasing that because it doesn't make sense. You've outgrown that. And now you're collaborating with newer people. With the Three of Wands, there is growth and expansion with communities and people and resources or allies. And, so whether it's in business or it could be in your personal life, like you collaborate. So co-investment is also a thing here. So you might be investing finances, buying things with shared finances with people that are aligned with your goals. Now, I also feel that some of you are downsizing your friend circle or your social circle. Maybe you were connected to them because there was a reason. For some of you, it could be business, like you had the right contacts, they would get the right jobs done. You're like, no, I don't want those kind of strategic connections. I just want genuine connections, heartfelt, soul aligned connections that I can be myself, that I can spend quality time with. So you're choosing quality over quantity, the depth, the Scorpio depth energy of people whom you can actually share your life and resources with. You're only interested in those connections. What's the point in just, wasting time with people that you cannot even share and have a genuine talk with? So there is a restructure around your collaborations, associations, your social circle, friend circle, and you're choosing only those people that actually work with you instead of people that are, good on the surface and then they work against you or they compete with you or something like that or bring worry to you in some way, So you don't want people that are one way on the surface and another way otherwise. So those people get filtered out. So it's a very honest assessment. You're taking stock of every connection that you have and you're kind of analyzing it from a very clear lens. You just want people that will work with you, that will help you, that will, that will boost you, boost your energy versus drain your resources and your energy and your time. And the last card for today, Scorpio, you have, it's a message from Cosmos, and it says, kind-hearted. It further says, I deal with difficulties through a positive mindset. I consciously show kindness to those around me. Yeah, so basically, so here, Scorpio, there is the Scorpio strength over here that is reflected. That's the undercurrent, the quiet strength that Scorpios have, So even though, some of you might be going through some challenges right now, but instead of those obstacles or challenges making you bitter, it's, you're like, things happen. I am going to get through these hard times. I'm still going to be kind. I'm still going to be, I'm still going to be graceful. And I'm going to, be patient about it. So it says, I consciously show kindness to those around me. Yeah, consciously you are choosing to stay in the light, in a positive mindset, having faith that things will get better, and knowing that, you know, people around us can also be going through difficult times. So even though, you are going through difficult times, you're kind of, there's an empathy as well, underneath this, that you understand that, people around you might be going through difficult times. So you're keeping that grace, you're keeping that love and compassion for people, though you might be going through something challenging yourself. So it's a very positive and a very strong mindset I'm feeling for you, Scorpio. Like, yes, there is something, which is going on underneath it, but even with that, you're still going to be very graceful and very dignified. You're not going to be immature about your responses. You're not going to be bitter about with your responses. You're going to be strong. You're going to be, grounded. You're going to be mature, and you're going to not be reactive in your emotions. There's a lot of spiritual growth. There's a lot of wisdom that's coming through this. You have transmuted on those difficult times, I feel, Scorpio. You have integrated those lessons as wisdom, some kind of challenging time that you're going through. You're transmuting those energies. It's becoming some kind of a wisdom for you that you will be able to, advise to the world in future. Because what are you going to achieve by, being rude anyways? I feel you're coming from that perspective. So, yeah, it's a lot of inner strength which is coming through this. You have that inner core, strong inner core here, Scorpio. You are moving through difficult times. You're healing yourself, staying positive. And, you're just someone who understands that if you are going through this difficult time, somebody else also around you could be going through, some form of a difficult time which you probably don't know about. So, just because you are going through a difficult time doesn't give you the right to be rude or disrespectful of other people. I feel that's the lesson, or that's the wisdom that you have accrued, over a period of time. So interesting messages here for you, Scorpio. Hope they resonated with you. Now moving on to the sign of Pisces. So the first card for today, Pisces, you have is the Six of Pentacles, and that's in the reverse for you. So this is minor arcana number 6 is coming through strong with this energy. Pentacles is Earth archetype, which is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You may have some in your chart. Doesn't have to be. But here, Six of Pentacles in this deck, it's a little different kind of an energy. There is this person who is dressed in a white cloth, white dress, white garment, and he is holding a white bird, a little small bird, which is actually not exactly holding. I would say, the bird is hovering on the head of this person. There are some blooms which are floating around. I feel here for you, Pisces. This is some kind of an imbalance, because this Six of Pentacles in the reverse is an energy of release. Releasing a habit, I feel. Releasing a habit of giving. This is not releasing things that you have accumulated over a period of time. It sounds like you're clearing house. For some of you, it might be, but for the most part, I feel this is a release of a habit that has been draining you, that has, that has brought you out of balance or kept you out of balance. And now it's kind of you recognizing that you have been depleted, or you're feeling depleted. And it's a feeling that you have not been receiving, whereas you have been very generous with giving. And that giving could be anything, giving of your time, your energy, your resources, undercharging for your services, and it's depleting you. So there is an imbalance which needs to be corrected. And from the planets that, the planets that are aligned for you, Pisces, this next week in June is going to be very important week for you. It's going to be a week where, something changes in a big way for you. I feel that you will shift the way you do, or shift the way you give to people, and I feel that you will be more open to receiving from people. Because, always just giving is not sustainable. It sounds realistic. And the same goes for always receiving, it's, especially for the Piscean energy, always receiving is just not, something that a Piscean archetype does. So, and you are the natural givers, 12th house is very selfless, very, sorry about that noise. So yeah, the 12th is like, you're the mutable water sign, very selfless, very empathic. But now you have to understand, like, when you're giving from a place of depletion, how is that sustainable by any means? So you need to kind of fix this, to a place where you give from a place of, groundedness or stability, because I feel that you have been giving too much. And if this is your time and energy that you have been giving, I feel that this leaves you less time to work on things that you really want to work on. It's like you have been supporting people with their things, their projects, fixing their problems, and now you don't have any time to work on things that you want to work on. And, the current transits are such that it's going to force you to take a closer look at, this kind of dynamic, like to save your energy, to conserve your energy, and to, commit yourself and your time and your energy to things that you want to create for yourself. And, there is a lot of Saturn energy which is going on right now, and I feel that Saturn, being the hard task master, it rewards hard work. So if you put in the work, it will reward you in a really big way. So this is something which is going to be the focus for you, the theme of not just giving out of habit or out of, just being overly generous or being impulsive. But here, sometimes we feel that it makes it, giving will give us that satisfaction, that contentment, and it does at times. But then it also depletes our financial reserves or our energetic or spiritual reserves. And those also need to be balanced out. So you need to stop funding people. You need to stop giving money to people or friends that don't give you back, that don't return back. Or you need to stop undercharging yourself for your services, because maybe you have a spiritual service and you're like, oh, I'm overcharging, my clients, or you don't want to charge your clients because you feel like it's a spiritual satisfaction or something like that, and you're not charging your clients for your services, or you're charging them very less, and you're like, you know what, I'm giving away my time and energy, but I'm not making the kind of money, and I'm helping people and they're benefiting out of my service, so why not increase the price for my service? So I feel some of you will be doing that as well. There's some kind of a negotiation of price or renegotiation, because you feel that, you don't want to deal with Piscean energy being very spiritual and less connected to the material world. It's only very common to see Piscean people, give away of themselves very freely. But that's what you need to shift now. You need to balance that. You need to stabilize that situation. Now, this could also be in terms of your relationships, whom have you just been pouring out for and have not been receiving back is something, again, you will need to take stock of. And it's going to be different for each one of you. Like, what is exactly depleting you? What is the exact scenario which is depleting you? There could be thousands. For example, if you're a renter, and you're overpaying for the property, then this is something you have to stand up for and correct the situation. Or if you are the landlord and you're undercharging and you're like, oh, you know what? This rent doesn't even pay the maintenance charges, but I was just trying to be kind to this person who I know and he's not, he's going through some financial crisis, but at the same time, I'm not making money, I'd rather give it to some renter who can actually pay for this property. So you probably will take a stop of that and correct that situation. So now for some of you, this can, I've also noticed for the Piscean energy that they overgive because, I don't know, because either it's a habit or it's a karma that you have inherited. And that's something that needs to be rebalanced, And nothing wrong with the, carrying the karma and completing the course of that inherited habit. So for some of you, it could be a course correction or karmic correction. But now for Six of Pentacles is also something that's playing out at the global scale, and you might be seeing that around you. You're like, oh, you know what? Look at the disparity between the pays and of the richest and the not so richest, or the people who can't even afford a basic thing. And look at the difference in the pays and disparity in the incomes in the world. For some of you, you could be working institutions that are trying to work around these issues, so that there is more equality and fairer pay systems in the world. Now, this could be, even in your personal life where you're doing too much. You're doing a lot of chores and the other person's not really pulling their weight. So for some of you, it could be that situation that needs to be corrected. I also feel that Pisces mostly will not take a lot from people because they feel that, it hurts their self-worth in some way and it boosts their self-worth if they're overextending and overly giving and overly generous. So that's a mindset or a kind of a thought process that needs to be corrected as well. There is nothing wrong with receiving. It doesn't really hurt your self-worth by any means. So that's something you will need to take a look at. Now, the North Node is in your sign Pisces. Now, I feel that, North Node being in Pisces, which means that Pisces is a very creative sign, right? So I feel that you need to give more time towards your creative pursuits or whatever you're doing, whether it's, your business, your creative workplace that you work in, because North Node aligns us with where we are going in future, our destiny in the future. And that being in Pisces, which means that you need to align yourself with that, with the creative domain. Yeah, because that's your destiny, which is calling at you. And you need to give more time and energy into that versus, deplete yourself, helping other people and solve other people's problems. Which means that for some of you, this could be like in the creative, if you have to work, you might need to work with more creative people or get some creative experience if you don't have it, or collaborate with people or learn something, upscale, and things like that, or if you plan to open a side gig or some kind of a, creative venture, you need to have the time and resources and organize that and work towards that. So I feel that's what's calling at you or will be calling at you. And also your planet, which is Jupiter, is entering into Leo very soon, which is going to be your sixth house. Sixth house is of daily routines, of service, of health, and all of that. So, and of course, on things that sustain us, that's the sixth house. And Jupiter is entering into that, which means that you need to align yourself with those themes of sixth house, which is service, routines, investment into your own self, your sleep patterns, things that sustain you, your nutrition, your food, your exercise, the routine, the organization, and all of those things are something that will call at you. You will need to put time and effort into that, your own health, your maintenance of health, and what kind of habits you have, the patterns, and all of that is going to shift up because Jupiter is entering into Leo. So you will need to make those changes, so that Jupiter is able to bless those changes, that align with the planetary themes in the next few months. And the next, I would say in the next 12, 13 months is going to be your theme. So you will need to turn this energy in the upright, which is the Six of Pentacles in the upright. And Six of Pentacles in the upright is nothing but the energy of Moon in Taurus. And Moon is all about, Taurus second house is all about sustainability, stability, and, things that matter to us, and work and all, land and security and all of that. And the Moon is about, the Moon moves in cycles, up and down in the sense that it's, it works through its phases from new moon to full moon. That's the phases the Moon works in, and the Moon is. So with that energy, I feel that you will need to turn the Six of Pentacles in the reverse to Six of Pentacles in the upright, where things are balanced. There is good inflow, there is good outflow, and it's sustainable. Now, this can also mean in terms of your relationships, like, giving, maybe you're giving too much of yourself, giving too much love and care, and, you're not receiving it back. For some of you, it could be that as well. And if that's the case, then, your heart chakra will also be impacted. It gets blocked when we're just giving love and not receiving it back at all. So be mindful of that as well. The next card you have, Pisces, is the energy of Jupiter. Further, it says grow and expand. And we've been talking about the Jupiterian themes for you, Pisces. Yeah, exactly. So it's a very beautiful energy. It just emphasizes that Jupiter is your ruler as well, co-ruler with Neptune. And there is an expansion energy available to you right now. See, Jupiter is transiting from the house of Cancer to the house of Leo, in the next few days. So, and Cancer is your fifth house, the Cancer is your fifth house of creativity, of expressing yourself, of relationships and all of that. So you have definitely experienced growth in those areas of being creative, and your family life, your personal relations, and all of that. And now that Jupiter is transiting into the sign of Leo, whatever, you have been putting your time and energy into the creative field, Pisces, it's time for, it's time for growing that. It's time for expanding that. And Leo is going to be your sixth house of service, of work, of habits and routines and all of that. So the amount of energy that you're going to put into your creative pursuits and self-expression, doing things that really resonate with your heart and soul is what is going to experience unparalleled growth in the next 1 year. And we all know Jupiter is the planet of abundance, of growth, of luck, of destiny, of even philosophy and travel and learning, higher learning, of spirituality, which is very synonymous to the Piscean energy. So I feel that this is a good time for you to, rebalance the scales, to renegotiate, because Mercury transiting through Cancer is going to give you the voice to express yourself, to negotiate and, negotiate the terms, conditions, or peace, or scales, whatever that is. And also, it's I just love how this planetary transits are happening right now. Venus is coming into picture, it's going to trine Saturn. And the thing about that is, that, Venus is a rewarding planet. It's going to reward you, Pisces, with everything that you have put your time, energy, dedication to, which is very authentic to you, which resonates with your heart and soul. Because I feel that, with the Six of Pentacles in the reverse, you've been giving time and energy to things that have depleted you. Maybe you started a lot of projects which you thought were going to work for you and you constantly kept giving, or maybe you constantly funded those projects and it did not give you the returns. And it's time to take stock of that, like what exactly was working for you, which project that you started is actually going to reward you, and what are the other projects that just depleted your time, energy, and resources. That's the key thing here, the key understanding that is rewarded by Venus, something that, and even with Jupiter, something which is authentic, something which is not an illusion, and especially with the Piscean energy, because Neptune is your ruler. Sometimes you get deluded by which project or which dynamic is going to pay off in the long run. There is a little bit of a diluted energy. So for some of you, you might have overextended yourself or made promises that you were not able to keep that depleted you. And now you're realizing what exactly is going to work for you. And I feel that once you realize and you put your time and energy into it, especially the fifth house themes, of creativity, of and even Jupiterian themes, of higher learning, of growth, spirituality, and all of that, those themes are going to be the front and center for you. So the time and energy you put into any creative things, whatever is your thing, or whether it's into, and Piscean are also into spirituality and healing, it comes very natural to you. So whatever you put in your energy into, the creative and healing arts, whether it's teaching or a counselor or a therapist, whatever that is, those are the fields and areas that are really going to pay off for you, based on the amount of work that you actually put in. So for some of you, this could be sixth house themes, right? For our routine and practices, like some practice that you take up on a daily basis and you incorporate it into your daily routine is also going to pay off, which could be a creative practice or learning something, or higher learning, spiritual learning, or something to do with astrology, astronomy, those kind of subjects, or or a specific meditation practice, spiritual practice that you incorporate into your daily routine will also pay off, because structures are rewarded, structures, especially the ones that enable you to be very consistent with your time and energy, something that you practice consistently. Jupiter is going to grow that, expand that, reward that. So I feel that you need to identify that, and you will be identifying it. The planetary energies and alignments are going to work and help work with you and help you identify those areas. Now, for some of you, this could be growth and expansion internationally. It's like maybe you create something and you circulate it, or you put it online for people to buy a course, or maybe it's music or arts. And when it comes to online services, people across the globe are able to purchase it, buy it, use it. So for some of you, it could be that kind of an expansion as well. So basically, you need to focus on quality things, quality time versus quantity, and that could be in anything. Like even if you're buying some high quality items, it can escalate in price. I don't know if it's the stocks or financial portfolio, or it could be a land, or it could be homes that are high quality, good neighborhood, good services around and all of that. If you invest into those areas, then that will expand for you. Sorry about that noise. Yeah, so basically, Pisces, it's, everything that you have been working on in the last 12 months. I feel that this is a last call for you, to go out there, release the project, renegotiate, or, whatever needs to be done. If you are starting a new project, then make a plan, proposal, whether it's in relations or, personal projects or passion projects, whatever that is, this is your window to get that final push, that final thing going so that there is growth and success around those areas. And the last card for today, Pisces, you have is a message from Cosmos, and it says, overcoming. Further on it says, I freed myself from fear and trusted the universe. I point my thoughts to the beauty within and around me. I create light with my spiritual power and knowledge. I overcome all doubt. And I feel this is a perfect, summary of the messages that we just went over for you, Pisces. Like from correcting the, imbalances. And I think you are afraid to correct it or afraid to look at it or afraid to make those changes. But then, you mustered the courage and you had faith in the universe and your abilities, and knowing what a generous and a giving person you are, knowing your self-worth, knowing your strengths. I feel that you are going to be able to make the change, or you are already in the process of it. And, that's what resonates with your soul. That's what makes you feel light and nice and joyous. It could be something to do with spirituality. It could be something to do with higher knowledge. Whatever that is, it's like you having faith and confidence in your abilities and overcoming all challenges and doubts and self-doubts. So great messages here, Pisces, and hope they resonated with you. So thank you guys for joining. Please subscribe and hit the like if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye for now.